Hey, and welcome back to Real Housewife Recaps. Today I'm covering Season 5, Episode 5 of Below Deck Mediterranean, Bringing the Thunder. Woo! It was a good episode. I'm excited and reinvigorated by this episode. I thought it was pretty darn good. So let's talk about it. So we pick up where we left off on last week's episode. It is 3 hours before the charter is starting. The weather is getting yucky and rolling in, and they put that with Bugsy coming back to the boat. Of course, Hannah's kind of freaking out about it. The weather looks awful, and they're all getting ready for the charter guests. Bugsy hugs everybody, walks around the boat. She gets to see Captain Sandy again, who's very excited to have her on board. Captain Sandy says that Hannah is happy to have her back, which of course is a lie. It's revealed that Bugsy has been working as a chief stew, but she came back as a favor to Captain Sandy. Also, I remember Bugsy, of course. I liked her on her season, but I totally forgot. She's the one that busted Hannah for texting back and forth with a charter guest on the boat. They were sending texts, and the way they got caught is the charter guest had borrowed the boat's iPad and was still logged into it. So it was pinging every time they would message back and forth. So that was pretty funny flashback. I'd forgotten about that. Then we go to Malia. She's showing her deck crew how some stuff works. Pete just can't even pretend like he's interested in what she has to say. Look at his body language there. She asks him if he's feeling all right. Then we go over to Hannah giving Bugsy a tour around the boat. Of course, this table decor thing has come up so much in the previous seasons. It's very important to Sandy. Hannah couldn't care less about it, but Bugsy's super into it. We get to see where Bugsy had previously entered in competitions and won for her tablescape. So I know that's important to Sandy for whatever reason. So I think it's cool. I would personally love to do something like that. It looks fun and creative, but it's not for everybody. I get it. Sandy calls a preference sheet meeting. So they all gather and we find out they're getting Justin Thornton. He is a financial consultant who lives in New York City. He's bringing a group of friends with him. Oh, these charter guests are so bad. We will definitely be getting into this, but let's get to this guy right off the bat here. So this is Leon Glore. And I did a little digging on Leon. Leon is such a douchebag. And I don't even like that word, but literally that's what this guy is. He's terrible. So if you go to his Instagram here, you can see he has pictures of the private plane. And oh, he's just the worst. He's just so douchey. Pictures of huge wad of cash and sports cars and private planes and stupid jewelry. It's just awful. So it looks like he owns this Glore jewelry. It says that he's the only employee, and they estimate that it makes about $91,000 a year. He's located right in the heart of New York City. Watch, clock, and jewelry repair is what it's listed under. I could not find a website for it, but I did find this listing for his business. So, yeah. We will be getting more into this douchebag as the episode goes on. So they continue to read the preference sheet. They talk about how Justin travels everywhere with his dog Scout. The dog is forbidden on the boat, so they've arranged a dog sitter on shore, and Justin may want to go visit. They want to do a beach picnic, weather permitting, and they want a 5 to 6 course chef tasting menu with dessert, which will also come up later in the episode. Malia has a funny moment with Alex where she's saying she's most like him on the boat. I'm really liking Alex. He just seems like he has a really cute personality. Pretty low drama, which, you know, for the show, But I like him. I think he's cute. He's lots of fun. So they're getting ready for the guests to get on soon. Bugsy is working on her first tablescape, and Captain Sandy couldn't be more excited. They make a big deal about it. I thought it looked pretty. She did a net with some shells and just set up a nice table, and Captain Sandy was very excited by this. Rob and Jessica are flirting and smooching. And then we got the guests coming down the dock. So everybody's scrambling to make it out to greet the guests. Hannah's struggling a little bit. Some of the champagne spilled. Captain Sandy's rating her to get out there. So they're really showing how Bugsy's doing a great job and Hannah's kind of slipping up a little bit. So this Justin Thornton guy gets on the boat. He does this funny thing where he introduces himself to each one of the crew members by saying his first and last name. So of course the editors add that onto the chyron the whole time he's on the screen. Justin Thornton, Justin Thornton, Justin Thornton, which I thought was pretty funny. Kiko, who I also continue to love, he is excited because he has a tattoo of a husky. It looks like on his shoulder or something. So he's pretty excited to see the dog. So the guests get excited. They start having drinks. I hate this guy so much. They start looking for some food. Meanwhile, douchebag Pete, who is supposed to be in less of the episodes because he got fired, they're showing him texting with the other worst person formerly on the boat. It's Laura. They're texting each other that they miss each other, and these two are a match made in hell. Since it's pouring rain and nasty and they won't be able to leave the dock, Malia comes up with a great idea to play poker. Alex volunteers because he has poker experience, so he's setting up the poker area. Captain Sandy is on Kiko to go talk to the guests about their dinner preferences and stuff. And Kiko's so cute, he reveals that it's just not his favorite part because English is not his first language and he gets nervous. So he just prefers to cook, which I totally understand that. Then we have Douche Lord again. Here he is sitting at the poker table and being all condescending and disgusting. And he's wanting oysters. Hannah tells him he should have put it on his preference sheet so they could have had it for him. He's trying to say that he did put it on his preference sheet. He tries to say to another guy that he thought he put oysters. The buddy says he puts clams and mussels, which Hannah says, well, that's not oysters. And then douchebag says, I put oysters, but I guess she can't read it correctly, but that's all right. Ugh. He won't make eye contact. He's talking condescendingly to the people that are helping him. I hate people like this. That's terrible. Hannah shows the douchebag that he did not put it on his preference sheet, and he can't seem to admit that he was wrong. So she calls him an effing douchebag as she walks away, which was pretty good. Kiko puts out a big, beautiful spread. He just keeps feeding them this wonderful looking fresh seafood, and they don't deserve it. So the primary decides to have a meeting with Kiko. They talk about the meals. Luckily, the primary has been very complimentary about the food. I have to say right here, doesn't he look like, okay, if you watch Fleabag, doesn't he look like Harry, her ex-boyfriend? I just kept thinking that the whole time. I think he looks so much like that guy. They have the same facial expressions. And also, if you're into Fleabag, I do recap that show as well, so check that out. Okay, back to the show. So dinner is supposed to be at 9 p.m. and Kiko has had an issue with time before. Of course, he's running a little bit late. The guests are being crappy about everything and complaining. Managed to get Kiko to speed along, and I think his food comes out about 15-20 minutes late. The guests eat, and then they decide they want to go to a club. So Hannah calls the club and arranges a VIP table for them. So they all get on the bus to go to this place called Tito's, and they are told to call Hannah when they're ready to be picked up. So Hannah's sitting up waiting on them. They finally call her around 3 a.m. and ask to pick them up. Of course, they get totally smashed and they decide to bring home some girls from the club. So Hannah's not happy. They all come back drunk and drinking more and partying with their friends and these new girls. Hannah and Alex are stuck staying up waiting on these people. They finally get them to go to bed, and I think Hannah ends up going to bed around 6:30 in the morning there. So the weather's been so crappy the whole time. The captain is up early. She's really trying to get everybody off the dock on the boat. They have a very small window where the wind dies down to where they potentially could get off. Unfortunately, there's a miscommunication, and Jessica allows one of the guests to walk around on the dock. And so just as they're about to try to leave, Malia catches it and radios back to the captain to let her know that the guest is not on the boat. I found this part a little strange. Why wouldn't Jessica think to check with the captain or to radio somebody to let him know that the guest is getting off the boat? It just seems like a safety issue to me. So then some stuff goes down with awful Pete. He released the wrong ground line. The captain's pissed and says, "Who told you to release the ground line?" And Pete tries to throw Malia under the bus and say Malia did. Malia says, "Negative. I told you to release the second ground line." And Captain Sandy, "I got your permission on that." Pete says, "Copy. I'm going to put your ground line, that's very important, back on." Malia goes up to Pete and says, "Your sarcasm on the radio did not escape her." Pete, of course, tries to deny it. Malia is pissed and says it looks bad on her. Pete is the worst and continues to be the worst. Pete's bitching to Rob. Meanwhile, they have to come up with another plan since they're still stuck on the dock. And they decide to do a beach picnic. So Bugsy's kind of taking the lead on that since Hannah was up so late. Malia comes up with the idea to take a bunch of toys with them so they can play in the water right there. So at least they get that experience. Malia and Rob go over to try to set up the beach picnic, and Malia's just having a hard time. The wind's gusting around, and they end up breaking the umbrella. Unfortunately, it smashes against some rocks. They set up a bar for the guests, and they get the guests over, and already the guests are complaining. Are we getting food or not? Just rude. So they serve the guests. They set up a nice tent for them. They made a great meal. Kiko once again knocks it out of the park. They're very happy. Then Sandy gets a call. She gets a call from somebody that works on the beach who informs her that they have to take down all the glass in the tents. Sandy is forced to radio over to Hannah to let her know that they have to take that stuff down and get rid of the glass. Hannah is trying to pour the alcohol into containers for the guests. The guests are whiny babies and they say, "Well, we just want to go back to the boat then." So Malia agrees to watch the dog while they play on water toys, or at least the primary does. Some of them are still back at the beach picnic. It was kind of a mess here. People were complaining, saying that they want to go back to the boat. There was some confusion there. Then douchebag Leon. He just has to continue on his douchebaggery. He invites the friends that I'm using friends in quotes, that they made at the club last night back for dinner. So poor Kiko is freaking out because he has this huge tasting menu and now he's got to make like 72 dishes, which is so crazy. And I feel so bad for the guy. He's got such a good attitude. It's just an awful, awful way to end things. It's an awful way for him to find out, and his poor thing is so stressed out, and who could blame him? So then we see next time on the next episode, the crew goes out and gets wasted. It looks like especially Bugsy gets wasted. She ends up in the hot tub with Alex. And turns out they're just sitting in cold water, which was pretty funny. Kiko is freaking out over this meal. He's trying to get these 72 dishes ready to go. Hannah and Jessica talk about Rob and his open relationship. Rob apparently posts a picture of his girlfriend and that he misses her, and Hannah sees it on social media. Jessica is not happy, and then it looks like Jessica, who I also really like, looks like she smashes her finger in the door. That's awful, and she seems to think it's broken, and that's terrible. That just sounds so painful and awful, so I have no idea how this will play out. I hope she can stay on the boat. We'll see. I thought this was finally a great episode this season. This hasn't been my favorite season so far, but I thought that the drama was picked up. Interesting to see some awful guests. And I thought it was a good episode. I was happy with this one. So let me know what you think. What do you think of the season so far? Who's your favorite? Who's your least favorite? What are your thoughts? Be sure to check out my other shows. I cover Real Housewives of New York and Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. And I'm about to pick up Real Housewives of Potomac. It's coming back in August, so I am going to start doing Real Housewives of Potomac Season 4, which is last season. We're going to recap that, so that way we can get ready for Season 5, which I can't wait. Can't wait for that one to start back up. So check out that, and you can find me at Real Recaps on Twitter. And be sure to subscribe, give me a thumbs up, and thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Have a good day. Bye-bye.